Motivation, it's a great spark, right? But it's not enough to really keep that fire burning. I know motivation, it sounds way more appealing and sexy than the word habits necessarily. I mean, just it's habits that's really not that burst of energy, but it's really what really drives long-term success. So when you rely on motivation, a lot of us do. It's like, I just got to get motivated. I just got to get into it, right? Well, you might end up just feeling stuck especially when it doesn't show up. And a lot of times it just feels like you're grabbing at at vapor, saying, "Oh, I got to grab my little lightning bolt of motivation to get started, to get doing this thing." And so that's one big thing that I realized when I was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, this is going to be my year. I've got to stick, I've got to lose the weight. I've got to get in shape. I've got to lose the beer gut. I've got to, and I would say these things, but I would talk to myself like, how am I going to get myself motivated? How am I going to get myself charged up? Now I get it. Tony Robbins says, part of the energy and motivation is getting into state, right? I was not at that point in my life to where I even understood that. But I did remember and did start to think, how can I simplify this? If I can't get motivated, what are the things I need to do to be disciplined? And I started turning to, what are the habits that I need to create? Now, habits doesn't always turn out to be the most glamorous sounding thing, but I had to believe if my habits were consistent enough, and they were healthy habits, and they were habits moving me toward my goal, that was going to automatically, or not automatically, but that eventually would turn into results, which would motivate me, which would, it would just make me happy and driven. So here's the thing. When you make the decisions into automatic actions, you free up mental energy and you make it easier to stay on track. So stay with me today. I'm going to welcome you to another Power Blast podcast. And before we dive into all this great stuff, make sure you head over to talktoperry.com, because it's all about carving out time to help you recharge that mental and physical battery of yours and really reclaim your power to get you focused on reaching those big goals. TalkToPerry.com. I point at you as if, you're looking down at the lower third there or catching this on the show notes where the link is. You'll probably remember TalkToPerry.com. You can just type that in. So let's talk about how to form habits. I'm going to tell you, repetition's key. If you're one who is getting into exercise, you know that in order to develop muscle, you're going to need to get in some reps, some repetition, right? So every time you repeat an action, it's going to strengthen not only like the muscles of, that you're working out, but some mental pathways that make it easier to do next time. So just think of this. There are many people, and this may be you, that are really good at quitting. Now, some people won't call it that harsh, whatever, but really good at setting big goals. They really want things, but then eventually drift off course and give up and quit. Usually it's never I give up, I quit. It's just they'll come up with a reason or a rationale or find some sort of distraction. You've gotten really good at that. You've developed that drifting off course muscle or the quitting muscle because of repetition, because of the stories you keep telling yourself, or because of the stories that you've learned as you grew up or society has told you about. So if you reverse that and take this to your advantage, thinking about a daily habit of drinking a full 32 ounces of water, or let's say 24 ounces. I won't make it sound so dramatic, but right away when you wake up, having your workout clothes right there to get into, you start to build these blocks of going after something bigger. Now, some of the things I started to look at is like, how can I simplify? Now, one of the things I realized that one of my sticking points was I had a difficult time getting into and I had a home gym. I mean, I simplified it so much and it wasn't even a home gym. It was an area in my home that I did my exercises in. Okay. So I called it my home gym. It was a corner of my bedroom. Resistance band, pull-up bars, and a 20-pound set of 20-pound dumbbells. That was it. I had a trainer that I plugged in on VHS tape. This is how long ago it was. And that simplified things for me because I could follow the trainer, even though I didn't want to do the exercises because I was out of shape, overwhelmed, overworked, right? But I simplified it. I didn't go and get a gym membership and try to navigate my way around and do the guesswork sort of thing. So I started to look at where did I try to get myself off the hook while I was guessing my way through workouts. Got rid of that. I have a trainer. I realized showing up for myself, even though I had a trainer and I had the equipment, I was not getting myself in there to exercise. So I made a commitment to myself. When I get home from work, I'm going to not sit down and wait to get motivated. I'm going to get my gym clothes on. You know, some people will do this in the morning, but I did mine in the afternoon or evening after work, after a long 1 hour commute where I was trying to talk myself out of showing up. I'm like, I'm even though I don't want to, I'm going to get my workout clothes on, take care of the dogs, and then go and just start my workout. I'm going to do at least 15 minutes. If I feel like longer, cool. And then I just did that again and again. And every day I did that, and most of the time I finished the workout, I put an X on the calendar. And my goal is, I am showing up for myself 90 days in a row. I didn't say I'm losing this amount of weight. I didn't say that I'm going to be able to crush a bunch of pull-ups or push-ups or whatever. I didn't even have pull-ups then. I just said, I am showing up for myself because then I was creating a habit. And the thing was, another thing I realized, and you may have done this too. I was going for a 90-day run, and I realized about 60, 65 days in, I was already planning my exit strategy. When's this thing going to be over with? I'm almost am I at the 90 days yet? Oh my gosh, I got a few more days. I can't wait till this thing is over. That's the mindset I was at. And I realized, I did. After the 90 days, I let my foot off the gas, started to gain weight, started to get the sneaky habits back in. And I realized, this is, if I'm going after goals and this is a lifetime thing, I got to do these habits for life. And a lot of times people will do that. They'll do their habits, or they'll get the habits going until they decide to stop, because we've gotten really good at stopping, haven't we? So that's the first thing is finding those building blocks that you can build on. Find the ways to simplify. That's why I have people go to talktoperry.com, because then we have a conversation on creating a system for you. Next is focusing on triggers. A lot of times we ignore them. We won't do them. We try to reason them away. But those are actually just cues about your habit. Kind of like brushing your teeth. You got to do some flossing in there, right? Having that thing to where it just seems like a natural flow instead of it being forced. For me, the habit was getting home, and I got this to a routine. Home, dogs, workout clothes. Let the dogs in, workout. And I did that as a habitual routine for a long time till I got it down to where it was like, oh my gosh, this is just who I am. But I had to build that mental muscle while I was building the other muscle. The other thing, like I alluded to this before, was simplification. So many people, and I've done this before, we overcomplicate habits. It leads to burnout, it leads to frustration, it leads to giving up. A lot of times people do that. Right now, they come off, as I'm recording this, it is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to you. It doesn't matter what time of year this is that you're listening to it. People are going to be, over the next week, considering their 2025 goals. That's when I'm recording this, in 2024. They're going to consider the upcoming year, and they're going to overcomplicate. They're going to come up with all these things that they can do, but they don't really factor in all the other things in their life. So as contrast begins to happen, they begin to rationalize, and the first thing they're going to give up is the very priority, the very thing that they wanted to accomplish, the very goal that they were going after. So it's really just starting with actions that easily fit in your life and build from there. So that was the action for me. Getting home, taking care of the dogs and getting my workout stuff on and getting the workout started. Committing to at least 15 minutes. And I know it was really easy for me to think 15 minutes, what big deal? That's not going to make a big difference. You're not going to lose that beer gut over 15-minute workouts. But like I said, it was all about showing up, because it never ended up being a 15-minute workout. It always ended up being about a half hour over time. And we're talking now, this has been like 21, 22 years. Okay, you hear me? 22 years of building that consistency muscle. That's where the things go. That's where I can help you. Building habits, it's not just about creating routines. I love routines and I love systems, but it is about creating momentum and not letting that momentum ever stop. Okay? A lot of times we get things going and eventually fade away because we've gotten really good at that. We've done it over and over and over again. What if you didn't do that anymore? What if you found a simple system, a way that you got the habits down? Wouldn't you think if you were consistent at that over the years, the results would come? You'd get rid of the self-sabotage mindset. You would get rid of the limiting beliefs that you can't accomplish this thing. You would get rid of the rationalizing and reasoning why things aren't working. You would get rid of blaming other external circumstances for the very goals that you're wanting to go after. You're laying a foundation for yourself, and over time, it's going to lead to progress. It will feel effortless, but at the beginning, it does end up being kind of a little challenging at times. But let me end with this. Habits let you focus on, it lets you focus less on what you should do and more on what you are doing every day. So really, take the first step. Let those habits carry you forward, because that will give you power, that will give you energy, that will put you in control, instead of rationalizing, reasoning, comparing yourself to others, letting those things control you and really draining your energy, draining your battery. So just know, it really boils down to deciding and committing and taking action on yourself and your goals, and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning, growing, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You can drop those down in the comments. I promise I will reply. I hope you are having a great one. If you're catching this around the holiday season or any time of year, wishing you the best. Keep going forward. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power, so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community, because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.